Here with Mina of ESPN. Mina, thanks for a few minutes.
Thanks for having me.
One of the most encouraging things that I saw this week was what you tweeted about the 49ers outside zone and how the Chiefs have had trouble defending the outside zone run.
Yeah.
Please just tell me and tell everybody that Kyle's going to spam zone run to the outside and it's going to work and it's going to just be a nice, easy time for the 49ers.
I would be very surprised if Kyle doesn't lean into the run game for a litany of reasons. I think what we've seen from the offense so far in the playoffs, sort of the inconsistent starts from Brock Purdy, obviously excellent finishes, don't get mad at me, Niners fans. But I think Kyle is going to want to get him comfortable. And it's an obvious matchup advantage for them on the ground. I know the Chiefs' run defense, they're a little bit better towards the end of the season. Buffalo had some success on them, very different run game in some ways. But I just don't see a good answer for Christian McCaffrey on that roster.
I go back and forth because I'm like, okay, the Chiefs can't stop outside zone. But also, Steve Spagnuolo knows this, and he's one of the best big game defensive coordinators, I feel like, in the NFL. He hasn't been able to fix it all year, but do you think he's going to dial up something to mitigate that?
Yeah, I could see them mixing in some different looks on early downs, some run pressures, maybe. You're probably going to see a lot of base. Obviously, the Niners play a lot of 21 personnel, and the Chiefs usually match that with base. But even when they play base, they're not great stopping the run, so it's not like that's a difference. But there's not really like an obvious personnel answer to that question. I think you have to, if you're a Chiefs, you have to really try to rattle Purdy whenever you get him into a passing situation early on, and I think that's where Spags will really shine. Is with the pressures.
Being around Brock a little, just going to the media sessions and stuff this week, he really doesn't seem, I don't want to say rattled, but taken aback by any of this. It doesn't seem to bother him. I'm hoping that he sort of learned after what happened at Christmas and that he got too wrapped up in the MVP and trying to beat Lamar and all of that. I think he's going to go out and say, I'm a really good quarterback. I'm tired of this game manager stuff, and he's going to, I don't want to say light it up, but I think he's going to play well.
I think he'll play well. I think he'll play better than what we've seen at times during the playoffs, early in games, especially with, a couple weeks, and I think that they'll come out with a really favorable opening script. I will say, though, I think the Chiefs' pass defense is challenging. The run defense, not so much, but the pass defense is challenging. Could be a few shaky moments early on, but again, I really don't think this is about Brock Purdy. I think it's much more about Christian McCaffrey. And when you look at this, go back and watch the 2019 Super Bowl, think about these teams and how they match up. That Niners offense was good. Obviously not as good as they were this year. The defense was better than the defense is now, I think. But what strikes me watching them is, oh my God, the presence of Christian McCaffrey just changes so much with this team. And I think in this game in particular, he is going to be the difference.
He is everything to that team. The gravity that he has.
It's unreal.
Flipping it over now, the Niners defense has not looked like the 49ers defense in a really long time.
That's right.
I know it's in there somewhere. I don't know what they're waiting for. Do you think we see that kind of Cowboys-Eagles-Niners defense on Sunday?
I don't know. I think pass defense, yes, but the run defense, obviously, on the flip side, has not been good for San Francisco either. I think the Niners' rushing attack is much better and more multiple than the Chiefs' rushing attack, so that you have an advantage in that regard. But I think with San Francisco and the defense, it's not a scheme thing. I mean, the scheme is pretty similar to what we've seen in recent years. There's just some personnel holes. And then there are, when you see things like some of the missed tackles, and some of that is just execution. Yeah. So, I think it's always hard when you're going against Patrick Mahomes. I think Nick Bosa has been fantastic in the playoffs. Charvarius Ward is amazing. You have Fred Warner. You have your superstars. You just might need those superstars, whether it's Bosa with the TFL or a sack or whatever, Ward with a pick. If they throw at him, I would not throw at him. You need them to make big plays.
I think Greenlaw is going to make some sort of play.
Very
it
good
might be a 15-yard penalty.
I wouldn't throw at him either.
57 is going to be involved in something that has a crucial turning point in the game.
There's very clear, this is the one thing on the Niners defense, it's very clear you should throw at, you should not throw at.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, Embry Thomas.
Yeah.
Sorry, Isaiah Oliver. For some reason, you see the field.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad for Embry. It's because when we have all this time to talk about one game, everybody ultimately zeroes in on like the same obvious things, but we'll see.
Last question. Who holds the trophy on Sunday? Are Reed and Mahomes going to be vaulted to a level of NFL immortality? Because 3 Super Bowls is almost unprecedented. Or is Kyle going to finally get the ring?
I've got back and forth on this because I can totally see a world in which Christian McCaffrey goes absolutely nuclear in this game. And he I think is an very good MVP pick. However, Patrick Mahomes just isn't making mistakes right now. It's it's funny because like his stat lines aren't very sexy. And again, comparing to the 2019, that this offense is so different. They're not as explosive, obviously. But Mahomes is just seeing the field so well, and he's playing so patiently. And what you're seeing with him and Kelsey at the moment, where he's sort of this kind of return to form, it's hard for me to bet against. I picked the Ravens, and afterwards I was like, you know what, Mina? Maybe stop picking against Patrick Mahomes. So I'm taking the Chiefs, but I got a very close game.
Did you just say Patrick Mahomes is a game manager? Because that's what I heard.
Honestly, yeah. And that's why it's not an insult.
Thank you very much for the time, Mina. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Good luck.